For day 2 and 3, matching practice B, it's very similar to the other paper that we did. It says, choose which method you need to use to solve the quadratic equations. So either A, finding square roots, or B, factoring. And then you have to solve each one. So here we have, again, we have 3 terms with the 10x in the middle. Okay, it equals 0. This has to be factoring. So in the little circle, I'm putting B, factoring. Then I have to do 1 times 24 is 24. And I need to get to 10. So for 24, our factors are 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 4 and 6, and 3 and 10. Oh no, sorry, 3 and 8. Okay, we can see that we have to get to 10. So 12 minus 2 makes 10, but I don't want to use that because we don't have any negatives here, and that would make a negative 2. If I add 4 and 6, I get 10, and everything there is positive. So we have x plus 4, x plus 6 equals 0. I set each expression, so x plus 4 to 0, and then x plus 6 to 0, and I solve it. So if I subtract 4 from both sides, we get that x is negative 4. We subtract 6 from both sides, we see that x is negative 6. So my 2 solutions are negative 4 and negative 6. In number 2, we have to solve this by finding square roots. So in my problem, the process to find x involves finding square roots. That's going to be my type of way of doing this. So I'm going to solve it like a two-step equation. I'm going to subtract 6 first, and I get 144. And then I have to divide by 4, so 144 divided by 4 is 36. Okay, so add or subtract first, then divide, and then to get rid of the exponent at 2, you square root both sides. And my solution is plus or minus 6. Okay, in number 3, we need to take the square root of both sides. So I have x minus 1 equals, and then that would be plus or minus 2. So I add 1, and x equals 1 plus or minus 2. And then I branch it off. So I have 1 plus 2 and 1 minus 2. So 3 and negative 1. Now, the way I solved it was finding square roots again. So right here, letter A, finding square roots, because the very first step in the process was to find the square root of both sides. So since I had to find a square root, I need to make sure I have that as the type of way to solve it. Okay? We're going to do just one more. So in number 4, we have 3 terms. We see we have that 10x. That 10x is a big hint that because we have 10x and x squared, we have to factor. Okay? So I'm going to factor. I'm going first times last. So 3 times 3 is 9. And I have to get to negative 10. So factors of 9. 1 and 9, 3 and 3. So which factor can make 10? Well, 1 and 9 can. And so to make it a negative, I'm going to have to put a negative on both of those. So I have x minus 1, x minus 9. But I can't equal 0 yet because look at this. This is bottoms up. This number is bigger than 1 right here. So I have to divide by 3. So here I can divide, or I can't divide, so I bring the bottom up. Here I can divide, and I get 9 divided by 3 is 3. So now I set each one of these expressions equal to 0. So finish writing those down. And then I solve each one. Okay, so to get x by itself, I would subtract 1. And then to get x by itself, last step, I would divide by 3. And we discussed that we would just leave it as a fraction. So I would leave it as x equals negative 1/3. And then here, if I add 3, I get x is 3. Okay, so these are the 4 types of problems you'll see. So you can either see x factor. Let me zoom out real quick. So either you'll see x factor the bottoms up. Okay, and then these are the 2 setups to see for finding square roots. Okay, so if you are done understanding 1 through 4, you can turn the video off. If you want to pause the video, I was going to just quickly go through and just make sure you knew, like, if it was A or B for these parts down here. So I would pause and then decide, like, what method you think it is, and then play to check to make sure you have A or B correct. Okay, so hopefully you've paused. Now you're back. And so this one here would be x factor, so that would be B. And if I look, the only other ones that would be factoring would be these 2 as well. But you see that this has a 2 in front, so that would be bottoms up. But it's still factoring. It's just factoring with bottoms up. Okay. With the parentheses here, the first step is square rooting both sides, so that's obviously finding square roots. And then on this one, this is where you have to add something, divide by 9, and then take the square root. So then, that again is finding square roots. Okay. On the back, if you haven't done the back yet, I would pause again, decide what you think it is, and then check with me. Okay. Hopefully you've paused. Now you're back. So number 11 and 12 are both B factoring. (15) and 16, again, 3 terms there equal 0, 3 terms equal 0. So again, those are factoring. And out of those 4 that we're factoring, number 15 is going to be bottoms up because of that 3 right there. Okay. Everything else, 13 and 14, these are both going to be finding square roots. Square root both sides first. That's your last step of square rooting. And then 17, 18, same thing. Find square roots first. And then that would be your last step, is to find the square root there. So hopefully you have all the letters correct. And now it's a matter of going through and solving all of your problems to make sure you have the correct answer. Okay.